What a year 2021 has been for the MCU. With 5 Disney Plus series and 4 movies in 1 year, and plenty more to come. So much has happened, and I thought that I would rank the 9 MCU contents released in 2021 and share my brief thoughts about them. There will be more spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched all the MCU movies and series of 2021 and don't want to be spoiled, click off the video and come back when you have watched them. But if you have watched them, or you just don't care, feel free to continue on watching. Starting off the bottom of the list, What If? This series was more of a mixed bag for me, with some of the episodes being great and some being not that good. The pacing of most of the episodes felt rushed. This series is also a good example of how too much humor is not better. Next on the list, Hawkeye, a series that has its pacing and writing issues while having heart, despite some of its heavy moments that felt unearned. Number 7, Black Widow, a movie that should have been released 5 years ago. Because of that, the stakes of this movie aren't really felt. This movie also had weird pacing, weird cuts, weird transitions, and a mediocre one-dimensional villain. Despite all of that, this movie does have some highlights, including the dynamic between Natasha and her family, and Florence Pugh as Irina. Number 6, WandaVision, a series that weaves through the different eras of sitcom. The way this series was done was creative, but it wasn't my thing. Elizabeth Olsen and Kathryn Hahn were the standouts with their performance as Wanda and Agatha respectively. This series stood out the most from the others, and it feels fresh. Unfortunately, the finale feels rushed and unresolved. Coming in 5th place, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, an action-packed series with the legacy of Captain America being passed down to Sam. I like the character arc Sam goes on to become Captain America. I also like how they did John Walker as a character, making him this morally grey character who just wants to live up to the name of Captain America. I just felt like Bucky, the Winter Soldier, was underused and not focused on as much, and that the villain, Kali, isn't that well developed. In 4th place, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, an action-packed wuxia MCU movie. It has a great cast, strong characters, especially a strong villain with Ren Wu, and great martial art actions. The only negative I have about this movie is that the last 10 to 20 minutes of the movie felt a bit rushed, and I could have wrapped up things better. Number 3, Loki. This was my least anticipated series, and ironically, it turned out to be my favorite MCU series of the year. This show builds mystery and intrigue quite well. While it takes a deep dive into this version of Loki, making him go on this character journey while introducing the world of the Time Variance Authority. This series does feel dragged at times, especially the 3rd episode, while the pacing of the season finale was quite off. The resolution of the season felt impactful and worth the build-up. In 2nd place, Eternals. The movie did a great job introducing 10 characters, considering the runtime they had, and while it didn't have the time to completely explore all of them, it did a good job with the characters they focused on more. I thought that this movie was paced quite well, with just the right amount of humor, which did not downplay the intense moment. I just wish this movie had more runtime to flesh some things out a bit more. And finally, Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie has a good character journey, heart, fan service with purpose and emotions. Probably the most moving out of all the movies and series on this list. This movie completes Peter Parker on his journey to becoming Spider-Man, ending the trilogy on a rather bittersweet note. As great as the second and third acts of the movie may be, the first 10 to 20 minutes of the movie has weird pacing and some plot holes that comes to mind after watching the movie. So it didn't really affect the experience that much, and this is why this movie comes in first place for me. Now I'm sure that we are going to disagree because we are all different people, and after all, no one thinks completely alike. So if you want to share your ranking and thoughts, feel free to do so in the comment section below.